All right, let's dive into one of the wildest, most fascinating documents ever to be declassified. We're talking about a deep dive into consciousness, reality, even the fabric of the universe itself. And the craziest part? It was all commissioned by the US Army. And no, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. What you're looking at is a real official document from the US Army Intelligence and Security Command. Back in June of '83, a commander named Wayne M. McDonald was given a very strange task: assess a program called the Gateway Experience. The report he came back with, well, it was something else. It went deep into quantum physics, spirituality, you name it. And the question at the heart of it all was truly mind-bending. You heard that right. The US military was seriously, and I mean seriously, looking into whether the human mind could just break free from the normal rules of reality. The document they created wasn't just philosophical musings. It was an attempt to build a scientifically grounded roadmap to do exactly that. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the mission itself. Then, how they planned on tuning the brain. After that, things get really weird with reality as a hologram. And we'll cover what you could supposedly do with all this, like time travel. And finally, we'll wrap it all up. So, let's start with the big question. What was the actual goal here? I'll tell you this, it wasn't just about relaxation or simple meditation. The objective laid out in this report was way more ambitious. So the Gateway Experience is basically a training system. It uses sound to get your brainwaves all lined up, to bring them strength, focus, and coherence. The theory is, if you can get your brain humming at just the right high-energy frequency, you can actually change your state of consciousness. So much so that the physical world just isn't a barrier anymore. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the vibe of the whole report. Think about it. A US Army commander is saying right up front that you can't just think logically about this stuff. You need intuition, that right brain insight. He's basically telling his bosses, hey, to get this, you gotta think differently. Okay, so how in the world did they plan on doing this? Well, the engine at the heart of the whole Gateway process is a special audio technology. It's all about manipulating your brain waves, and it starts with a pretty straightforward principle. It's called the frequency following response, or FFR. And the idea is actually pretty simple. If you play a steady, repeating sound frequency for your brain, eventually your brain's own electrical cycles will start to match it. It'll literally sync up. Think of it like your brain is tuning itself to an external radio station. The specific technique they used is called hemi-sync. Here's how it works. You put on headphones and you listen to these special audio tapes. In your left ear, you might hear a tone at, say, 100 hertz. But in your right ear, you're hearing a slightly different one, maybe 104 hertz. Now, your brain can't really process both at once, so what does it do? It creates a third, phantom beat, a binaural beat that's the difference between the two. In our example, that's 4 hertz, which just so happens to be the frequency of a deep meditative state. But here's what's so cool. The point of all this isn't just to chill out. The real goal, as you can see from the diagrams in the actual report, is to get both sides of your brain, the logical, analytical left side and the creative, intuitive right side, to work together as one, to get them in perfect harmony. The report basically argues that this unified brain state is the key that unlocks the door to extraordinary perception. All right, buckle up, because this is where the theory takes a massive leap. For any of the really wild stuff to work, the report says you have to first accept a totally different model of reality, one that's pulled straight from theoretical physics. And here's the core idea. According to this report, our physical world isn't solid at all. It's a complex, 3D hologram, a projection of energy patterns. Everything you see, everything you touch, it's all just a projection. It's not that it's not real, but that its realness comes from interacting energy fields, not from solid, separate things. So if the universe is a hologram, then what does that make us? Well, according to this model, which you can see illustrated right here in the report's own diagram, our consciousness isn't trapped inside our skulls. Nope, it's part of a universal consciousness grid. Our brain is just the antenna. It receives and decodes information from the hologram. Your left brain decodes it logically, and your right brain sees the big picture, all the interconnected patterns. And to try and back up this whole hologram idea, the report lays out this really bizarre model of the universe called the cosmic egg. You can see it in these diagrams. The author actually compares the way a real quasar ejects matter to a white hole at one end of this egg. So, this white hole spits out our reality, it travels all the way around the outside of the egg, and then falls back into a black hole on the other side. It's just one big, continuous, self-contained loop. Wild, right? So, where is this whole hologram being projected from? The report has a name for it: the absolute. Picture an infinite, timeless ocean of pure, conscious energy that's completely still. According to the theory, our entire reality, all of time and space, is just a ripple, a temporary little splash in that ultimate cosmic ocean. Okay, so let's say you're on board with all this. Your brain can be tuned, and reality is a hologram. The big question is, so what? What can you actually do with that knowledge? Well, this is where the report gets into the practical and, honestly, jaw-dropping applications. The theory goes something like this. By using HemiSync, you can raise the vibration of your own consciousness. You raise it higher and higher until you're vibrating so fast that you literally click out of our normal reality. Just for a moment, you escape the hologram and pop into that timeless dimension of the absolute. And once you're in that state, a whole new world of abilities supposedly opens up. We're talking about patterning, which is basically projecting your thoughts into the hologram to influence reality. Remote viewing, seeing people in places far away. Out-of-body experiences, yep, your consciousness literally leaving your physical body. And then there's the big one, time travel. Accessing information from the past and even the future, all stored in that universal hologram. To make this feel less like pure theory, the report actually gives a step-by-step guide for skills like having an out-of-body experience. It's a 4-step path. Step 1, get your brain synchronized. Step 2, get into a state of heightened awareness. Step 3 is the tricky one. You have to achieve left hemisphere quiescence. In plain English, you have to quiet down that nagging logical voice in your head. Turn down the volume on your inner critic. Once you do that, the report claims your consciousness is free to just float away. So when you strip away all the audio tech and the really complex physics, what are we left with? At its core, this report is making a truly profound statement about what consciousness even is. This quote really says it all. The big conclusion of the report is that consciousness isn't just some byproduct of chemical reactions in your brain. That's not it at all. Instead, it argues that consciousness is the fundamental organizing force of the whole universe. It's the thing that brings reality into being. So the ultimate takeaway from this whole declassified mind mission is pretty staggering. It's this: you are not just a person looking at the universe. Your consciousness isn't separate from it. You are an integral piece of the universe, looking back at itself. And because of that, you have the potential to interact with and maybe even shape the very hologram we call reality. And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. Was this whole document just some bizarre theoretical exercise, a total flight of fancy that the military commissioned and then forgot about? Or did this investigation, buried in secret files for decades, actually stumble upon a glimpse of the true nature of reality? What do you think?